I identify as cisgender black woman, but black is my primary identity, so I can just kind of talk about that, like why that's important to me. And I think it comes from my family, understanding my family's culture, its history, and the struggles that my family went through to get where I am now. My family, luckily, even though we don't have too much history as far as where we came from, I haven't taken like 23andMe or anything like that, but my family is very close knit, so I do know back quite a few generations. My family owns land down in Virginia that my great-great-grandfather bought from after he came out of slavery. A lot of my family still lives down there, so like being brought up down there with my cousins and being around other people in my family, I think that just really grounded me and made me understand the importance of Black history in general. 2020 really solidified something I kind of already knew, which is that people are living in these silos and they're living kind of in these bubbles, in these worlds that they want to see how, based off of their own experiences, but they project what they hope the world really is when it's really not that way. So my first experience was that, just hopping back really quick, but when I was, one of the issues I had when I lived in San Antonio was that's when Mike Brown got killed. And I was kind of like by myself, wasn't a lot of Black people around, and I was just like very confused because I thought the world was a little bit more progressed than it was. Coming back up to 2020, there has been a lot of killings of unarmed Black people, Black trans women, etc. since then. But when George Floyd got killed, it was just kind of like, wow, I didn't know. A lot of people were like, I didn't know this was happening, or there was protests going on and people didn't even realize protests are going on, which I was just very confused by. So I think a lot of what I was dealing with outside of just the uncertainty of the pandemic was just like anger and confusion. How people could live in these bubbles and just kind of like navigate their lives without interacting with other types of people, and at least attempting to understand how people are suffering during that time. It's an unfortunate situation, unfortunate that it had to be publicized the way it was. I think it did bring awareness, but we're back. We're in 2022, and I think a lot of stuff has settled. So I hope that people can still get that fire to help them know that like we need to keep pushing forward for progression for Black people, for everybody. Black history is a time for other people to learn about Black history and for Black people to celebrate their culture. For me, Black history is every day. This is a great month. I like seeing stuff. I like to buy, different things. I am pregnant right now, and I bought a little onesie that I found that says B is for Black for my future child, and I'm super excited. So I feel like there's more stuff out there during Black History Month. But honestly, it should be integrated into every day. Black history classes, critical race theory, all of that stuff should be taught with American history. And this should really be just a time of reflection and celebration. But right now, I think it is still a lot of teaching. I think it's important to share and to invite people in and to teach people, maybe who, again, have not experienced certain things or been around certain people. But also for people's own sanity, there's an importance to safeguard some certain things, right? I make a joke with my husband about the cookout, right? Oh, who's invited to the cookout? At this point, everybody's invited to the cookout, so I don't want to go to the cookout anymore. I think it's too much for me at this point. I think I'm gonna just stay home instead of going to the cookout. I think that there's a line between teaching and being that resource for people when they're I don't understand XYZ, and then also just safeguarding some things for yourself. I know for me, kind of going back to what I said earlier, my family, we do have some history, which is great. We don't have history as far as where we came from. Did we come from the islands? Did we come from Africa? Where did we come from? But the artifacts and the stories and stuff that we do have been put into a book. They are passed down to different generations. So I think that that's important, because without knowing your history, you can't progress. One thing I would like to add is, for anybody, when you're interested in learning about other cultures, we can keep it focused on Black people for this, like Black history, or again, why certain terms are offensive or certain gestures are offensive. Just use Google first before you go reach out to your Black friends. You can start with Google, and then maybe after you've done a little bit of research and you're like, I'm still a little confused on this, you can go ask one of your Black friends or your Black family members or whatever, and play Black women. Make sure you're paying Black women for all their hard work, because we work hard out here.